everyone and welcome to the Captain's Video Weblog. We are Sunday, um, January the 4th, 2016. No, fuck. January the 4th is tomorrow. We're January the 3rd. Yeah. So, January the 3rd. Very important day, I would say, in, familial history, the history of my family, because 5 years ago was the death of my grandfather. He was an awesome dude, except, well, I mean, every man has his problems, and one of his big problems was that at times he would say that he would show his weaknesses, but most times, he will not really. Like when I was still in prepa, or even when I was in high school, he used to tell me that he wanted to see me do the most of my life when he was while he was still alive, and because he's always shown that very strong facade, I never thought that he would die only I don't know, a year and a half after I graduated from high school. And I gotta say that it was a very, very tough thing, because he always looked so strong. And to be fair, though, he had a cardiac arrest, and then he fell into a coma for like the whole holidays. But yeah, I gotta say that when that thing happened, I was just, and I'm still, a bit bitter, because a week before, every time I went back to Po, I used to call my family, and there it was a very special thing, because he called me, because it was just before Christmas. Well, we were like 3 weeks before Christmas, 3 weeks or 2 weeks before Christmas, and he was like, "Yeah, can you give me some ideas for presents?" And I was like, I don't know. But yeah, it was very strange, because he ended the call when saying that his left arm had begun. I started hurting again, because he had a cancer, because he worked very close to asbestos. He worked very close to that because he was on boats, and I told him he wore like a sleeve to relieve him of his pain, and then I told him, yeah, you probably should, bypass the doctor and directly go to the hospital. And he was like, nah, it's nothing. And when he had his cardiac arrest, I was like, he should have definitely gone to the hospital the week before. But yeah, I feel like I've got some responsibility. So yeah, in retrospect, because we're still in kind of the season right now, 2015 was kind of a bitter year. I mean, let's not talk about the terrorist attacks. The first one on January the 7th last year, I think the winter season had not yet started. Like, we were in that week or two where there's no or not a lot of anime on TV. In Japan, of course, because in France, let's be honest, there's nothing. But yeah, I had nothing to watch, so of course I went back to watching. Um, to watching information TV, and on on the that day, I think it was a Wednesday. I I I zapped randomly, and then everyone was talking. Yeah, big attacks, and I was like, what? But yeah. Um. Anyway, I had various team projects, and one that took the whole, basically the whole of the first half of the year, started very badly. Like I had these, we were supposed to have a meeting with a professor, and of course it should have gone way better. Except, well, we didn't have any news about one of the members of our group for a whole month, to the point that we talked about, dissolving the group, disbanding it, because of course we were two, and that's a thing that's at least three people, and you cannot do something good with two people. But by the time we had our first meeting with our professor, with our teacher, who was our supervisor, we were already 1 month or 2 months, I don't know, yeah, a month and a half later, late on schedule, because at the time we had our first meeting, the other groups had like 2 or 3 meetings already with their supervisor, and we were like, well, we have one meeting, and I mean, then it's the holidays for 2 weeks, and telling me that we cannot see you until next month on the same day. Well, that's gonna be awkward. So yeah, we spent, when you do that kind of project in geography, well, in geomatics, there's always, you're going to develop a tool, and that tool, you gotta see what else exists on the field, and even though there was basically nothing on the same field as what we were supposed to work on, it took us on the 6 months, on the 5 to 6 months between the official start and the day when we were presenting the project. Like, we spent until the very last month, like in May, late April, early May, we had our first part done, and we had to kind of rush through the rest to for our presentation. And while it turned out to be really okay, because I mean, we have notes on a scale from 0 to 20. I had 15, and my partner, I don't know how much she had, but she probably had the same grade. Um, yeah, it turned out okay, but still, it was a lot of setbacks, a lot of things that I hope we never have to face in our professional life. Even though, I mean, since we've encountered that during our studies, and probably means that, well, I mean, at least we're ready to see what's gonna happen in our professional life. I spent the whole month of June and the early month of July being a little bit stressed before the decision on whether I was going to be accepted in second year. I got accepted, and then I didn't know if I had to if I was going to have an apartment. I had the same apartment, which is very cold. Holy shit! My heating fan has been on for like last hour, and it's still very cold. I mean, yesterday people were saying, yeah, winter is finally here. The only thing, it looks like late autumn. It doesn't look like winter. There's rain and it's a bit cold. So yeah, to me it's like late autumn. Like the early days of December. Uh, Winter is not quite here, but it's definitely coming. I mean, yesterday my mom told me that one place she went during the weekend there was already snow, where there wasn't already snow. There was snow, some snow. So yeah, you can definitely argue that winter is coming. Maybe it will be, full on winter by the time the next season of Game of Thrones begins. So yeah, I mean, yeah, the rest of the year was basically, yeah, you will have a lot of projects. We cannot give you details right now. You also have to look for yourself for an internship. We can kind of give you help. Oh yeah, also your supervisor for your internship will be at the place where you have your principal inscription. Yeah, but I never go there. Hell, it's good if I even see my professor, my one teacher from there, once during the month of January. Probably, I don't know, maybe tomorrow afternoon. I mean, when I say tomorrow, I mean Tuesday, because we're already pretty much on Monday right now. It's 40 past midnight, so yeah. Um, yeah, I don't really. I had found a nice little thing on the internet, but I'm not really sure that it corresponds to my masters, and I mean it doesn't match with what I've learned during the first term. I was in transportation, and this one is all about the risks in of nature. Like we have to, it's an internship to build a plan of how to prevent the risk on communes, because it's a thing that's now mandatory for mayors, is to do a little plan to prepare for whatever risks there could be, like submersion, uh, floods, snow, earthquakes. That's something that happens in the Pyrenees mountains, or even in the Alps. But yeah, it's something that's right now. Ooh, I mean, I don't really like to do things on Sundays because lots of people say, "Yeah, I hate Mondays." I don't really, I don't care for Mondays. The day that I like the least is Sunday. Why? It's supposed to be the day you rest, and despite that, Sunday is probably the most stressful day with Thursdays, because Thursdays it's often more and more is gonna be before the deadline for a project. So I really don't like Thursdays. But I mean I'm already working. On Sunday I would like to have some rest, except I have to prepare my stuff, and I have to run for the train, and I have to run for the tramway, for the bus. I arrive at my apartment. It's fucking cold. I mean, when the whole machinery is on, it's okay. It's going on. But when for 2 days, I mean, there's almost 48 hours between the time I arrive. I alight from the train on Friday night and the time I take the train on Sunday. So during those 2 days, I have the time to just feel a bit cooler. And suddenly, oh no, it's the end of the fantasy. Oh, go back to the real life, boy. Oh god, I really hope that this is not going to be kind of the things I'm gonna have to suffer my whole life. Like, oh no, you don't have the heat, huh? It's winter and it's cold. Oh boy. better get ready to pay up for your electric fees, because you have nothing but this little fan to give you some heat. Where are you? Anyway, today was football day. We had the National Cup and the round of 64. Yeah, for Marseille, because the French Cup works like this. In the early stages go from, I will say, from August or July, from from the middle of the summer to the end of the calendar year. So at this point, there are teams from districts, so the lowest thing in national football. So like I've seen the team from my village take part in the cup, and they lost to another team from the department. So yeah. And I think at a point in October or November, they start to inject professional teams into the mix. So professional teams, they don't do any kind of discrimination, except for the teams of the top flight. Like the teams from League One are enter at the round of 64. This time, pretty much every team, all but 3 teams have been qualified. 2 teams have no chance because, well, I mean, we have 3 matches. No, it's 2 matches between teams from the top flight, and one other team has been eliminated by a lower team. This year, I can really feel that the National Cup has taken some importance, because usually the French Cup is the cup where the smaller teams play and beat the higher teams. But this season, because Paris seems invincible at the top of the league, somehow the other cups have taken the importance of the championship. So yeah. But it doesn't mean that we're gonna see good football, because French football, am I right? It's a purge. It's like slurping cum. Not that I would know about it, but apparently, when you follow the Fortune Cup, they say that boring matches, it's like slurping cum. So I will say that it's the same thing, even though I don't know about it. But yeah, for some reason it makes sense. It's a purge. You're like, well, I mean, I'm here, I'm watching this, I'm not enjoying myself. So yeah, what the hell, am I right? I would enjoy French football more, but there's one thing: you have to inject a lot of money, not only into teams of the top flight, but also in lower teams. Like all the professional teams, they need some money, and since teams can be professional until the 3rd division, well, you gotta give money to all those teams, and I'm pretty sure that there's enough investors in the world to give money, but these investors, they want some good game before, but it's kind of a vicious cycle. You cannot have good games because teams can have good players and they don't have enough money, and the money can come because there's no good games, and sometimes you will find a raw pearl, but it's too rare for it to be a viable economical model, so yeah, it was I was watching my favorite team, Marseille, because I'm really patient. I think that's the most important thing when you're a supporter of Marseille. It's being patient. We haven't won the French Cup since 1989. We haven't won something in Europe since 1993. We have won the championship in 2010 and the League Cup 3 times consecutively between 2010 and 2012. But besides that, I mean, it was all, the last couple of years where when we were really good was when Didier Deschamps, who's now the national team, the coach of the national team, was at the helm of Marseille. Now, I'm not gonna shit on Michel, but because he cannot do shit on his own. I mean, look at Ocampos. He's 8 million euros to take him from Monaco, and they were like, "Yeah, no, you gotta give us more." What? No, fuck off. Because he looks like he wants to score, but he doesn't want to score an easy goal. So he puts himself in unneeded trouble, and then he fucking chokes. Like during the match, apparently Batshuayi, who usually plays very much solo, gave him the pass of the year, as it sounds. I mean, at least of the season, and fucking chokes it. Fucking great. There's some talks about him going on loan to the Fiorentina. I'm all for that. If he manages to find himself there in a very competitive environment, because one thing in Marseille is that, well, we've got some money, so we're gonna recruit for the defense for the midfield. In offense, has been the basics in offensive recruiting for Marseille this summer. Oh, we've got this plan for recruiting Eric Lamela, at least on loan. Huh? What? Oh no, the market closes in 2 minutes. Please sign the contract. Oh, well, shit. We're gonna have to do with one forward, center forward until winter. I mean, the market has started now. The transfer market has started. It's been on for 2 days, or even more at this point. It's been on since January the 1st at midnight, since the beginning of 2016. And the only talks we have heard is, yeah, Ocampos is gonna leave until the end of the season. Fuck you! Just buy someone. You had talks with Toulouse to buy Ben Yedder. Why don't you recruit him? Fucking... Anyway, one thing I really... the way I pronounce some names, it really hit me yesterday when I said the name of this town in Brittany, which is Brest. I'm not gonna do with the English R. I realized that I cannot say things with the French accent because it sounds, offbeat. But suddenly when I talk about anime, I always say the name of these Japanese characters or these Japanese people. I always find the obligation somehow to kind of roll the R, but not too much, because obviously when I'm saying it in French, the French R sounds just right. I mean, I'm not gonna complain about it, but somehow if I want to use the English R, the R, when saying the name of a Japanese person, it suddenly sounds no, it's kind of out of place. I don't like it. So yeah, this is the weird things when because there was also this person. I don't remember who that was, but he was saying he was a French dude, and he was talking about French people in English, and he was pronouncing the names the English way. I was like, how can your brain how is your brain able to come to terms with that pronunciation? I have so much of a moral thing in my mind going, isn't that weird? Too weird for me? But yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Goodbye. I have a class at like 9 a.m. It doesn't sound really interesting because it's gonna be one professor trying to convince us to go do a PhD. I don't really want to do a PhD because it will be in, purely geographic, and I don't know. We gotta go there anyway because there must be a list of people who are attending classes. I mean, it's kind of weird, but I want to sleep because I slept today, but somehow it doesn't feel enough, like I've slept enough, even though I woke in at 3 p.m. So yeah.